Henle Vocabulary Lesson 14. And in this lesson, you're going to talk all about sum. You're going to learn all about it. And you've already kind of learned the present tense forms of it. You've learned the present tense forms of other verbs, and you learned the present tense forms of sum. Remember, sum es est, sumus estis sunt. Those were your present tense forms of sum. Now you're going to learn a lot of the rest of the forms of sum, and for that, you need to learn the four principal parts. So the four principal parts of sum are sum, esse, fui, futurus. Doesn't seem too bad, right? Now, sum is an irregular verb. Now, when a verb is irregular, I just want to let you guys know that when a verb is irregular, that doesn't mean that the endings themselves are going to be changing from other verbs. A lot of times it just means that the stem is going to be changing instead. And sometimes it just means it's going to be taking some different endings that you might expect. So sum here is an irregular verb. But if you look at the four principal parts, you can definitely tell that the stems are changing just a little bit. So that's kind of what an irregular verb is. So four principal parts once again are sum, esse, fui, futurus. Now, this one is used all the time, even more than winio. I said winio was used a lot in the last video, but sum is used way more than that. And sometimes even it's used in some different forms of different verbs. So sometimes, well, you're going to learn about the passive forms later, but whenever you learn about the passive forms, you're actually going to be using some of the forms of sum to create that. So it's very important that you learn all the forms of sum and practice them as much as you can. So it's kind of easy to guess what sum means. Sum means am. It's kind of a scary verb for such a simple meaning, but it kind of needs a lot of that to actually portray that meaning. All right, next word, undeque. All right, so this one right here is an adverb. And an adverb means that it modifies a verb, right? So you're always going to be seeing it next to the verb. Now, one way that I like to memorize this one is these little letter U's actually. So it has one letter U there and one almost at the end. So undeque actually means from all sides or on all sides. So I like to look at the word and see that there are two U's. There's a U on each side or on all sides, and then say that undeque means from all sides or on all sides. Once again, it's an adverb, so a lot of times it's going to be used with like attacking verbs and that sort of thing. A lot of military actions, it's going to be going with those. So they're attacking from all sides is an example. All right, next word, telum e. So this word you kind of have to think of as sneaky, kind of like a spy word or something, just kind of a word that you'd underestimate. And you don't underestimate just because of its endings. It's just a regular second declension neuter noun, but because of its meaning. Telum seems like a happy word, but instead it means dart. And once again, it's going to be used with a lot of attacking sort of words. And I mean, that's what Henle does that a lot, uses a lot of phrases from, Caesar. Caesar wrote a lot of things using darts, for example. So think of that as a sneaky word. Next word, absum, abesse, afui, afuturus. Okay, so this one right here is just kind of an expansion on the word sum. Notice if you take the ab or the a off of the forms, then you get sum, esse, fui, futurus. But sometimes you add on that ab or that a. And notice down here it says ab or a with ablative after the little semicolon there. So that just means that this word, whenever it's translated, it usually goes with the preposition ab or a, and that preposition goes with ablative. Now, one thing that is kind of nice to know that I didn't catch on to very fast is that whenever you're going to use this preposition with absum, abesse, or whatever, then you are going to have to write that, but you don't have to write the meaning twice. Because even though it has that ab in front of the word, on the word, absum, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that the definition of ab is with sum in this case. So you're just going to have to put that ab there whenever you want it to be used. Because absum means am away or am distant. So that ab or a in this case, whenever it's added on to sum, turns into away or distant instead of by or from, like it usually is translated. But whenever you want to show what you are away from, then you have to add on that ab or a. Because ab or a means from, so you can say I am away from blank or whatever you want it to be. So this one again is irregular. It says it's irregular, but it has the exact same forms of sum. So just keep that in mind. This is just kind of like the expansion pack for forms of sum. And it means, am away or am distant. And the last word we have for lesson 14 is longue. I like this word a lot. This word is an adverb, and actually just a little tip for you guys is that letter E on the end, whenever you see that E on the end of words that kind of look like words you already know, for instance, I know the word longus, which means long, but then whenever you switch out that us for that E with a macron, it turns it into an adverb instead of an adjective. So if you see that E there instead of whenever it's on a adjective, then sometimes it'll be translated like an adverb, meaning it's modifying a verb. And so how do you think we could say long, the adjective, as an adverb describing a verb? Well, the way to do that is to say far or by far. And actually this one is used pretty much only used as I've seen it. It's used a lot with this word up here, this absum, abesse, afui, afuturus, because if you want to say that you are distant or you are away, then it's really easy to just combine these two and say I am far away or I am distant by far or something fancy like that. So longue means far or by far. It's an adverb. All right, let's go back through these verbs and see what we can remember. Verbs and other words. So sum, esse, fui, futurus. When memorizing vocabulary, it's really easy to memorize this ending. It means am. Then we have undeque. Remember, I look at the U's on all sides because undeque means from all sides or on all sides. Remember, that's an adverb. Usually modifies your verbs. Then we have telum, teli. Remember, this is kind of the sneaky, nice-looking word, but it means dart. And then we have absum, abesse, afui, afuturus. Remember, this is kind of just the expansion pack of sum. It means am away or am distant. And then our last word, longue. It's a nice word. I like this word. And it means far or by far. Also an adverb. All right, great. So just do your best to memorize these words before continuing on. Good luck.